In the last class period, we talked about website design. Today, we're going to take that one step forward and we're going to create animated advertising using animated GIFs created through Photoshop. It's a real easy and simple way to give the effects of animation that can draw attention to your advertisers' ads, thus making you more money. So what is an animated GIF? Basically, an animated GIF is a series of still images that can be used to give the appearance of movement. You see below, this is an ad that I made while working at the newspaper. Basically, the Santa Claus, the reindeer, and the toothbrush are all static images. On different frames, I've got them moving back and forth, and it gives the appearance, as you can see here, that the Santa and the reindeer are brushing their teeth. So we go into common ad sizes. There's basically three groups of internet ads. We've got rectangles and pop-ups, banners and buttons, and skyscrapers. The most important, or I guess most popular form of the rectangles and pop-ups would be the medium rectangle. This is a 300 by 250 pixel image. Typically you see these on the right or left hand side of your web page, kind of towards the top. They've got a pretty good size. You can get a decent amount of information in there. Leaderboard is your most popular size you're going to see on many websites. This is under the banners and buttons section. Usually these are at the top. Let's say like at a media website, usually you'll find the leaderboard on top of, like your key news stories. And these are at 728 by 90 pixels. The wide skyscraper is the most popular form of skyscraper. These are typically on the side, but usually on the lower half of your web page. They are a little bit tricky, in my opinion, to build and to fit a lot of text. It just, I don't know, it's kind of a personal preference type thing. Main thing you need to do is keep your file sizes small. We want to try to keep all of our sizes around 40 kilobytes, and you really don't want an animation to last any more than 15 seconds. Anything more than 15 seconds, the user is going to lose interest pretty quickly. So let's get in and look at trying to build our own animation. Here we've got the Saya Smile Center banner ad that I had created. I'm going to start off, basically we're going to uncheck a lot of these so we can kind of take a look at what we've got going on here. You can start with like a blank palette, and your layers will be each of your elements that you're going to use within the ad. Of course, you want to probably start with a white background or a dark background. We've got our Santa Claus on a layer, Santa's toothbrush, a deer toothbrush, Saya, the Smile Center contact info, their tooth logo, little happy holidays at the front, and snowflake background. Basically in this ad, the main thing that we're going to work with is just the toothbrush. So it'll go back and forth kind of just to give it the look and feel of movement here. Down here we've got frames. As you can see, as I click in here, it shows how the toothbrushes have moved just a little bit. There you can just take your regular selection tool, get it over into here, get your selection tool, and you can basically, if you're selected on the toothbrush, you can move it around to different areas. Well, kind of keep ours where it was, just for the demonstration purpose. Down here, you've got the seconds. This is the amount of seconds that your animation is going to stay on a particular frame. Whenever you've got fewer slides like this, sometimes it's better to go about 0.5 seconds. You might actually want to take it down to like 0.2, especially if you get into 20 frames like we'll see here in a little bit. You really want to knock that down to 0.2 or 0.1. It'll smooth out your animation and give it more of a seamless look. Down here, this is basically your loop window. Forever, it just will continuously keep looping back and forth and back and forth and back and forth as long as the page is up. 3 times, once, it's kind of self-explanatory, or you can set it to a custom size. Down here, this right here is where you're, if you wanted to add just a single frame, you can go in that route. Go back here. Down here is your play options. You can set here and fast forward, rewind, hit play, and then you've got kind of an idea of what's going on here. So actually, let's go ahead and select all these. Let's change the second down to 0.1 seconds. See how much faster the animation is moving now. But it still looks pretty choppy. So let's see what we can do to kind of smooth things out a little bit. Well, first let's select onto these two right here, and we're going to use this button. It's called tweening. Basically, tweening will add frames in between the two that you have selected here. So let's say we want to add 3 frames. What it's going to do is it's going to find the items that have moved, which were the toothbrush, and it will add frames in between to kind of give it that smoother appearance, more of a transition. So let's go through here between all of these transitions and just add 3 frames and see what we've got. Alright, we are up to 27 frames. So let's just select all these. First off, we'll start with the 0.5 seconds like we originally had it. It's very, very slow and choppy. So let's stop that. Go through here. Select all these, bring that back down to 0.1 seconds. Much better. From this point on, what we'll do is if you go under File and Save for Web and Devices in your Photoshop palette, you'll see your preview of your ad here. Basically, you want to save it as a GIF. 256 colors is pretty typical. There we are, a little bit over our 40 kilobyte little mark here that we were trying to keep under. Shows you a real good image of how fast your transition's going. Let's see what we can do. Let's try a few things to get our size down a little bit so it's closer to that 40 kilobyte. One thing we can do is drop this down to 128 colors. You really can't see a whole lot of difference, so that's a pretty good option. We're down to 54.4K. Another thing we can do, let's even drop drop it down to 32. 32 gets us to 45, which is probably, I mean, we're pretty tolerable in that level. We could go with that, but you can see we have lost a little bit of the detail in the grain in here. The next best option is to maybe bring this down. Instead of doing 3 frames per transition, maybe going down to 2 or 1 frame. Though it will look a little bit more choppy. As long as you speed your time up to maybe like this 0.1 seconds, you're not going to see a lot of that chop like we did with the 0.5 seconds. So whenever you're satisfied with the ad and your specs are, you know, close to your tolerance level, then you would just go back here to where we were just at File and Save for Web and Devices. And then double check, make sure GIF is selected. And I will always sit here and play my animation out just one last time to make sure. And then you hit Save. Basically, you can save that anywhere on your desktop, and you've got your animated GIF that you can upload to your web page. Well, that is the basics on creating an animated GIF. There's really not a lot to it. It's very user-friendly. Really, you're endless with the different things you can try and do. It's kind of fun once you get into it. But I encourage you to kind of explore with all your tools that you've learned in Photoshop and try different colors, try different filters, techniques, and you'd be amazed what you can come up with. All right. Well, that should be the end. Thanks.